Nope. There we go. What's going on, guys? So today I want to make a video that's a little bit juicy and it's probably going to frustrate some people. Maybe because you're in that relationship already, and this might bring up some things that are uncomfortable for you. Basically today I want to talk about, is she, so the girl you're interested in, the girl you're dating, is she long-term relationship material? And this is assuming that that's something you want, right? Because, I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. There's a lot of people who are just involved in hookup culture and short-term dating, and that's it. So maybe this video isn't for you. Although, I'm going to challenge you a little bit, because most of those people have a gigantic ego, and they say, I could get a long-term relationship if I wanted, but they're putting all their experience in short-term relationships. So can they actually find a high-quality long-term relationship and keep it? Like actually maintain a healthy relationship? So I challenge you to really think about that if you're not sure, or if your ego is getting in the way, like, oh, I could if I wanted to, bro. Okay? So the question for today is she long-term relationship material? Is she wife material? And is she mother of your children material? Right? So there are habits that you want to look for, right? Like nurturing, compassionate, supportive, right? Feminine. And she wants to collaborate with you and not make things more difficult, right? So no, like, of course you can have disagreements and then work through things, right? But there's no reason for you to be like arguing or fighting or anything like that, right? All guys want is peace. Most of us know that. And so if that's the biggest indicator to look for, right? Is if she's not creating peace for you, like you're not feeling safe and secure in the relationship, just how she wants to feel, then that's probably a big sign that there's something that needs to be fixed, or you might need to walk away, right? And I'm not the kind of person who gives dating advice to always just cut things off. Oh, you'll find another one, just hop back on the apps, just go back out to the bar or whatever. Like, you'll find another one easy. Like, maybe that's true, but that'll get you caught up in the short-term cycle. Now, if they're really, like, not a good fit for you long-term, then by all means, do what you can to fix it or end the relationship, right? And don't fix it if it's a bad fit for you. But I want to encourage a bit more long-term relationship thinking, right? Because that's really deep down, I think some of the people with the egos around hookup culture and stuff like that won't admit to themselves that what they really want at the end of the day is something really fulfilling. And maybe they were hurt by something in the past, and so they're stuck in the short-term cycle, right? My nose is really itchy, so if I keep doing that, that's why. So maybe their ego gets in the way there, although they know that they would really love a family one day. So I encourage you to think about that more. And so I've talked about the positives a bit here, right? What about things to watch out for? I mean, obviously we kind of touched on like is she constantly disagreeing with you? Is she arguing with you? Is she causing fights? Is she trying to make you mad, trying to make you jealous? And then there's certain things that are indicators that she might not be the best fit long term, right? Like tattoos or a ton of tattoos. I'm not going to get into that one too much, but that kind of goes along with, like, don't necessarily judge people by appearances, but just realize that sometimes they're more likely to be not the best fit long term if they're doing things like that, right? Like, I mean, it kind of goes down the path of like the partier look, right? So like tattoos, piercings, especially like the bull ring, right? Like the septum piercing, or just like a bunch of piercings on like the eyebrow, or like the snake bites, or whatever it is, right? It's not that big of a deal if it's like a little, like an earring, or maybe like the tiny nose ring or something like that. But just keep your eyes out, and just like crazy, like hairstyle or crazy hair colors, right? Or if they seem sort of like combative towards men. This next one is like a really unfortunate reality. If she has any trauma, right? So like the unfortunate reality is that it's sad that they went through trauma, right? I think we can both agree on that. Now, the second unfortunate reality to that is that most people with trauma don't actually develop the tools to work around that when they encounter situations that trigger the trauma, or they don't heal the trauma. Whatever it needs to be. Basically, most people don't work on their trauma, and it affects their relationships their entire life. Not necessarily in a positive way. So the way they navigate their relationships is by projecting that past situation onto the new one, right? And like, here's an example of like a really sad reality, right? It's like that happens a lot with women who have been raised by a single mother, right? And being a mother, like, I have all the respect in the world for being a mother. That's one of the hardest jobs in the world, and we need mothers, right? And I have to say that it's really difficult to raise a balanced child, right, with a really healthy mindset if they lack a mother or a father, right? Like, they're going to be missing something, and they need some sort of either positive feminine relationship, mentor, and then a positive masculine mentor. And so for women, if they don't have the positive masculine mentor or a father, and like a healthy marriage or relationship to model afterwards, sometimes it can be really difficult for them to create that for themselves later in their own life. Maybe because they have a bit of resentment towards men. Now, this isn't always the case, right? Because some people do work through their trauma, or at least develop the skill sets to deal with it, right? And they're aware of it. They know what to do when those things come up. Just be aware that sometimes this isn't something that they work through. And if you see something like that, like the dad not being around, or some trauma around an ex, right? Like, those things can be pretty difficult. And so it might be just something for you to watch out for if you really want a long-term relationship. Potentially, it just might not work between you two. And you can be the judge of that. Just don't be... How do I put this? Don't be too nice, right? Because there's a difference between a nice guy and a kind guy. And a kind guy will do what's best for himself and then the situation, right? So for both of you. So the kind guy won't just like kind of get suckered into a relationship just because of maybe the emotional attachment he created, or some kind of like Disney mindset, right? Like, or like thinking like, oh, he can help the girl, he can save the girl. Of course you want to grow together, right? But you can't save everybody, right? And if she's got these things, sometimes you just have to be really discerning about who you let into your life. Because, like, if we're talking about long-term relationships, like a wife or mother material, this is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. And you look, if you're watching this and you're in this situation, I'm sorry that you had to go through it. I'm sure that you found a way to still be grateful. I know it can be hard. You know, if you've gone through like a divorce, or you have a kid with someone who you're no longer in a relationship with, it's a really difficult situation, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And you can find someone who's a really good fit for you in your current situation, right? If you don't think so, it's just a matter of shifting your mindset around it and getting your confidence to where you trust yourself again. And that's what's so key about all this, is you have to trust yourself and your decision making. And one of the funniest things I could probably tell you in this video is, if you're, let's not say looking or seeking, let's say that you're open to an amazing relationship, right? Like potential girlfriend, wife, mother material, long term, right? You're actually gonna want to, and I'm not telling you to grill them and interview them, but you want to think about it as if you're interviewing someone for the position. So you want to pace the relationship a bit, like pace how you're dating, like not hang out all the time, right? Like some guys will just go head first, and then it kind of crashes and burns really quickly. You know, pace the relationship, like, you know, one date every 2 weeks, or maybe one date a week, right, for the first while before it turns into something more serious. No more than that, right? And that's just to protect yourself and her, and you can pace things to actually keep a level head and think about things more logically to know if it's actually a good fit for you. Because if you're constantly just like in each other's face in the beginning, sure, you got the honeymoon thing going, but you might just be blinded by all of that and not be able to make like a rational decision, right? So all I'm really trying to say here is, and it's probably the funniest thing I'll say in this video, is that you want to treat this like an interview process. And I don't mean that you're literally interviewing her, being like very robotic. Just pace the relationship, create a deeper connection, and flirt with her, and look out for things, because usually people kind of show who they are through their actions, not what they say necessarily, sometimes, but they show you who they are, or they tell on themselves a little bit. Like you don't really know someone until you've been around them enough, so you're gonna know who they really are after a while, and that's gonna come with time. Not trying to like be quick. Oh, like I'm really into this person. Like let's just hang out all the time. Like pace it, and think of it like you're interviewing her for the job of mother of your children. And I'm not saying to like think about her that way when you're going out on dates. Like, oh, I wonder if this is the mother of my children. Don't do that, because there's a lot of guys who go on like their first date or their first few dates, and they're like, they get so caught up in their head, like overthinking or nervous, or maybe not nervous, just like future projecting. Like, I wonder if this is going to end up like last time, or I wonder if this is my future girlfriend, or blah, blah, blah. And they put way too much pressure or weight on the situation, right? So that's a long way of saying that you want to see if she's qualified to be long-term relationship wife, or mother material. Like if she's qualified to be a good fit for you. That's the key to all this, right? And just a couple little add-ons I'll make to this. I talked about like watching out for trauma, if they've worked on it or have the tools to navigate it, or if it's like tattoos, or a bunch of tattoos, weird piercings, weird hair, don't necessarily judge a book by its cover, but look at the combination of things that's going on, right? Like is she always trying to like make you jealous or argue with you? Does she seem like she resents men for some reason, right? Is she like kind of combative? Is she a club goer? Like does she always go out to the bar? Does she drink? How much? Ideally, I mean, if I'm going to be real with you, she shouldn't drink at all. That's just my opinion. It's because I don't drink. So you're a mirror. Usually, you're a mirror reflection of what you attract, right? So you want to be the person. You want to have that self-love and be the person who you want to attract. And I'm not saying that they have to be exactly the same as you, but having similar, let's say, values or standards for your life, right? So if you go to the gym a lot and you're really healthy, you probably want someone who does the same, right? So that's why I'm saying the thing about the bar. Like the bar, if she has to go out to the bar or the club or on girls' nights or girls' trips, and not with you, especially not with you, right? Like it's always with the girls, especially like her single girlfriends. I mean, come on, like the reality is that she probably doesn't respect you enough, and so she's going out and doing these things. So truthfully, she's probably not the best fit for you long term if you want someone who has the signs to be a good fit for that, right? So, I mean, those are some of the biggest things you can look out for. Someone who's good with money, right? Like, she doesn't necessarily have to be ambitious, right? That's a plus if she's ambitious and cool and like driven, and maybe she has some kind of cool business of her own. Realistically, most guys don't care too much about that. You know, they want to be able to support their girl and their future children, right? So that's not really like a gigantic part of this. But if she's like smart with money and doesn't like spend it all on garbage, and like she's good at like maybe investing or like allocating to certain things, you know, because a lot of people, I guess first off, they're bad at saving, and then some people only save, right? And you realize eventually that there's a transition that you don't want to just save, you want to be able to multiply that $1, right? In a smart way, like figuring out like what kind of like stocks investing you could do, or real estate, or into a business, or just somewhere where you can basically multiply the dollar, right, and make it work for you. That's a bit of a tangent there to, you know, why that's important. But if you have the opposite one, I mean, the probably the best way to end this video without getting too deep into red flags and green flags is that this is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make, especially for a long-term relationship, like mother of your children. And some guys know why already. You know, some guys have gone through the situation, and I mean, you can easily tell, right? Like if you pick the wrong fit for you, or one where there's like friction, right? It's like you're two horses pulling in not the same direction, right? It's like you're kind of pulling in different weird directions, and so you don't have an alignment with the proper goal, right? To actually build an amazing life together. And so the wrong girl, there's levels to it, but potentially the wrong girl can really mess things up for you. And you need to keep that in mind, because the right girl, a lot of guys underestimate this, but the right girl will actually really enhance everything for you. Like, let's say you're absolutely crushing it in, you know, your business, fitness, in life overall already as a single person. Like a lot of guys will say like they're like, oh, if I get into a relationship, you know, I don't know, it might distract me. It might make things like harder or worse, or I might slip into this or that, become too soft, bro. But they don't realize that if they have the right girl, she'll support all those things, enhance all those things, and basically be like rocket fuel for you, right? Like skyrocket you into a much, like let's say you're already doing well, you're gonna do way better if you have someone really awesome supporting you and backing you, you know, like, because you can create a much more fulfilling life with a high quality woman like that. And you see it a lot in the types of like entrepreneurs and business owners who have that kind of relationship, right? Because truth be told, and you know, someone might think otherwise and try to argue about this, but really they wouldn't have made it nearly as far if they didn't have the right woman with them, right? So it's key for you to remember that, because especially if you get into the point where, you know, there's a marriage, right? I'm not going to get into the details behind marriage and divorce, especially in the West. And then also if there's a kid involved, right? It's just like a whole nother level of, if it's the wrong fit, man, like that's going to be tough. Although if it's the right fit, that's going to be so great for you, and you're going to be able to just create this amazing life. And that's the kind of thing that you want to invite. You be open to, keep an eye out for, not necessarily like you're seeking. There are, I know it might seem challenging, but there's lots of examples of mother material in the world that are single, and basically you have to be a little bit more proactive about not necessarily hunting for it or anything, just keeping your eyes open, right? Being a bit more awake and open to creating opportunities. Because this video, I'm talking to you through a screen. We've got Zoom, we've got, you know, all the dating apps. A lot of guys, it's hilarious, right? They seem to forget. I've talked to tons of guys about this, and they're like, oh, the dating apps aren't working for me, man. I don't know what it is. I can't get any dates anymore. And it's just like, when was the last time you talked to a human in person? When was the last time you had the balls to just go approach a girl, right? And a lot of the time, guys are like, oh, well, she had her headphones in and she looked busy and she probably had a boyfriend, and just excuse. And I was that guy before. So just between you and me, like, we both know that that's BS. That's cope. You're overthinking the situation, and you're shutting yourself off from so many opportunities. You're actually creating, and you don't want it probably, you're creating a more sense of a lack mindset or a scarcity mindset. And you could easily, if you shift it, if you get around your overthinking, that mental block, you can create this high quality abundance in your life where you start dating those kinds of high quality girls, right? Like, you know how to meet the healthy gym girl, and there's nuance to doing these things. I'm not going to get into all the details here because this video has already been pretty long. But I hope this helps, and I hope some part of this video has made you think a little bit more about being intentional with your dating life. And I'll leave it at that. You got this, bro.